Okay, welcome to Tinley Park's Realty Luncheon. My name is Greg Gannon, trustee of Tinley Park. What we're going to do is introduce people that come up and talk about their respective areas, respective principals, administrators, as we go through the process here, and then a Q&A as we go through it, so be prepared. Mayor Zabraki has been mayor of Tinley Park for 36 years, 34 years. We talk about realtors and housing market. The mayor has seen Tinley Park grow from probably 12,000 people to somewhere in the city just under 60,000 people. So we talk about realty, we talk about realtors, talk about land values. The mayor has led Tinley Park through that whole process in our huge building boom we had for a long period of time. Give you an example, years ago we used to issue about 450 single-family permits a year. For those who have been around a while. This year we've issued 3. So you can see how the market goes down. Without further ado, Mayor Zabraki.
Thank you very much. I think this is a bit too loud, so I'm going to push it over. Can everybody still hear me? Yes. Great, great. Before I get started, I'd like to introduce a few people here that you may run into from time to time. TJ Grady, who's one of our trustees back here. Our clerk, Pat Ray, who's been on board since 1972. And then our new village manager, Dave Niemeyer, who came to us in June of this year. So first of all, let me thank all of you for taking time out of your schedule, and I realize that there's going to be a lot of information here. We did these just about every year, every other year, during the 80s, 90s, and the first 2000s. And we stopped them about 2008 for obvious reasons. There was, everything went in a dumper, and everybody was kind of struggling. So over the past couple of months, we decided, we talked about putting this back together again, and seeing if there is that kind of an interest, we would hold one of these once a year, once every 6 months, whatever it is, with the purpose of bringing you up to date with what is going on in our community. And I'm going to talk very quickly here because I want to get through some of the information that we have. And then we'll also want to make sure that there's time for questions. Because as you take clients around the village here and around the South Suburban area, there's always questions about what about this, what about that. And we want to make sure that you have all the information that you need with this. Also, I'd like to welcome Tom Joseph. If I didn't mention Tom Joseph, I would probably have to buy him a bottle of beer sometime. So thank you, Tom, for coming. We appreciate it. So I'm going to see if I can know how to use this. That's that. Okay, couple of things. 60,000 people, conveniently located, I-57, I-80. Average income, 89,000. 1,400 businesses in our community, and we're split. And I'm going to go through my little speech here because I've got to go through this. We're in 2 counties, 4 townships, 13 school districts, 3 park districts, 2 library districts, 3 state representative districts, 3 Senate state districts, and 2 congressional districts. So we're literally split up all over, and that is really kind of a challenge. And we cover about 16, 17 square miles. A little bit about the quality. A little bit about the quality of life, and I'm just going to go over this briefly because we'll get a little bit more into it later on. Tinley Park's the only community who has won 2 very prestigious awards that we're very proud of. One of them was from Business Week magazine as the best place to raise your kids. We're very happy with that. That was 2010. The other one was from the Department of Commerce, the U.S. Department of Commerce for Economic Development. We were one of 3 finalists. The other 2 finalists that we beat out were somewhat smaller towns than ours, Los Angeles and San Antonio. So we were very happy to make sure that we were able to do that. One of the things that we try to do as much as we possibly can is communicate. And communicate is a very difficult thing because to communicate works both ways. We have to say something, you have to listen to it. Not you in particular, but people in general. We have regular meetings with the education, ministerial association, business community, faith community, these kinds of things. And again, as I mentioned before, we're reestablishing this communication with the real estate community in our town because we're beginning to see things happening. Whether it continues or not, I certainly hope it does, but we hope that these meetings are mutually beneficial because you're going to ask us questions, and going to try and answer those as much as we possibly can. Planning, good policies, fiscal management. We're very proud of that. AA+ rated community. That puts us in the top 5% of all government agencies in the U.S. That's very important for bond ratings, those kinds of things. Balanced budget. We've always had a balanced budget. During this recession, we did not lay off one employee. And our workers, our employees, got raises. Modest raises, but they got raises. And that made a difference. We're very, very happy about that. So, when we move ahead, and we're looking ahead here, and I'll talk a little bit more about this, but from a financial standpoint, we made a decision last night to buy the Tinley Park Mental Health Grounds for $4.165 million. We're going to pay for that internally through our reserves. We will not go to bond issue. We can do that. And that comes from that AA bond rating, balanced budgets, those kinds of things. Location, location, location. You've heard that before. 25 miles south of Chicago, 2 Metro stops, 2 fantastic stations. We're working with Metro at this point in time to get 2 express trains, at least one in the morning, one in the evening, directly from Tinley Park to the Loop, which will cut that time frame down quite a bit. By the way, Samuel Tinley was an Englishman, born in England, came here to a town called New Bremen, and was a train master back in the late 1800s. And in 1890, the community of New Bremen decided to honor its train master by naming the town after him, and that's how we got to Tinley Park. Samuel Tinley, who was an Englishman, named in his honor of a German town. So you figure that one out for a while. Diversified tax base. We went after 3 things over the years: residential, commercial, office, and warehousing. We tried to balance that out. We did not want to get too far commercial, too far residential, too far warehousing. Because when one sector goes down, hopefully the other sector picks up, those kinds of things. Four basic principles that we followed through the years. One, we broadened our tax base and the diversity within that tax base, as I mentioned, between commercial, residential, warehousing, etc. We encourage the appreciation of homes. And I'll get back to that here in a second. Planning. We spend a lot of time planning, and that makes a difference for us in the long run. Greg did not have time to talk a little bit about the legacy plan that we have for Oak Park Avenue. And it's a legacy plan for the development of all of Oak Park Avenue from 159th to 183rd. That'll probably take 35, 40 years to complete. But it's a plan. It's a framework for people to follow. And also to maintain sound financial and economic development principles that will develop for all of our citizens. And I'm going to blame one man for this, Trustee Pat Ray. At one time, his whole philosophy was, and it transferred down to us, whatever we do in this town has to increase the property values of everybody in town. And that makes a difference. So when we do something, is it going to help the town? Is it going to help the residential? Those kinds of things. May not realize, but we have 30,000 people who work in this town during the day. 30,000 people. That's a lot of people that we have. We're very happy with the Panduit Corporation. We work very, very hard to keep the Panduit Corporation in our community. And that was a joint effort with the school districts, Will County, State of Illinois, and us. Because quite frankly, they were very, very close going to Indiana. And we were able to maintain them in our community. We're happy with that. Again, just a little bit of everything. We're the 13th largest retail sales community in Metro Chicago. Our sales tax are higher than Oak Brook and Arlington Heights. People don't realize that, but there's a lot of commercial in this town. Tinley Park Convention Center. Several years ago, we we built a convention center, and we made one mistake with that convention center. We made it too small, and that's why we had to make it bigger. Right now, it's approximately 120,000 square feet, and we went from roughly 45% of the potential conventions out there to about 75%. So we can attract a lot of conventions. Great location, and you know what we found out by accident? And obviously we're going to take full and total credit for this, but one of the biggest selling points of that convention center is something very simple: free parking. We were amazed what a difference that makes to people. We will average between 250 to 275,000 people go through that convention center in a year. That's a lot of people, and that also has a great impact on the entire region. Public service, fire department. Get off the idea of a Tinley Park volunteer fire department, okay? Because volunteer says something, and sometimes people shy away from that. We are a full-time fire department. We staff 4 stations 24/7, 365. Our equipment is some of the best that you could get around. And all of our firemen are certified just as they would be in Chicago, Orland Park, Arlington Heights, Winnetka, wherever it is. So that makes a difference. Citizens Police Academy, award-winning crime prevention program, all those things are important. Our infrastructure. Take a look at our roads. We spend roughly $3 to $4 million a year on roads. We spend all of our MFT funds on road repair. We don't buy other things with it that other towns may do. We leverage roughly, for every dollar that Tinley comes out of our coffers, we will get $3.50 from other government agencies. Let me give you a quick example of that. How many have seen those flower boxes on Harlem Avenue? Okay? Well, we got a lot of heat for those because they were built in the height of the recession. And here's what we were faced with. We have a staff, great staff, and they always apply for grants. And somewhere in the process, they've applied for a landscaping grant, a beautification grant from the federal government. So lo and behold, we suddenly get this grant. We got to put up like 250 grand to get $1 million to do that. And we were faced with the subject: do we lose this $1 million and let some other town get it, or do we spend the $250,000 to get the $1 million? And that's how those things came about. We were kind of surprised that we got that. By the way, this summer we tore down 9,800 trees from the Emerald ash borer. We are in the process now of buying trees, and we hope to replace all of those within the next 2 to 3 years. In fact, this fall we're already beginning to replace them. We're also working with Oak Lawn, Orland Park, Okina, New Lenox, and there's another, Oak Forest. And what we're doing there is we're building, over the next 3 to 5 years, a second water line coming out of Oak Lawn. The original water line was built in the early 70s. Never had any major breaks in it. We're looking for a secondary backup line. So these towns have gotten together, and we're working through that process to get it done. Let me step up here a little bit. Oak Park Avenue. Hopefully you enjoy the opportunities on Oak Park Avenue. We're very strong believers in that if the core of your town begins to decay, that decay will spread. We've worked with what we call a facade program. Let me give you a quick example. Bailey's little bar down on Oak Park Avenue, or Isabel's. They could get up to $37,000 to do a facade program, as long as they put in, I think, what, double that, Greg? Yeah. So for every $1, for every $2 they put in, we'll put in $1. That's how we work with these with folks along Oak Park Avenue. Because quite frankly, the taxes in Bremen Township are brutal, okay? Especially along that commercial line. And that makes a difference. These are just some of the programs. We invest probably in the neighborhood, and Donna could probably give me a better idea. Donna, probably about $250,000 a year and various different programs on Oak Park Avenue. Cruise nights, family markets, Caribbean block party. Because we want people to come down to Oak Park Avenue and enjoy it. On cruise nights, we run a, cruise nights and Caribbean block party, we run a shuttle bus from the 80th Avenue station so that people in the western part of the village can get on a shuttle bus, come down to the cruise night, come down to the Caribbean block party, and they don't have to worry about parking. Okay? That makes a difference. We're very happy with our volunteers. We have roughly, there we are, volunteers. We have about 150 people involved in our volunteer program, and they do a great job. And they serve a great service to the community by doing various different things, whether it's the Long Range Planning Commission, the Senior Citizen Commission, the Economic Development Group, whatever it may be. So we're real happy with those folks that work with us on that. Mention a little bit about the fire department, 4 stations, 24/7, 365. Our average response time is 4 minutes and 17 seconds. The NFPA standard says it must be at no longer than 6. So we work very hard to make sure that we maintain that. Fire Prevention Bureau, first one in the state, first one in the U.S. to be certified, done last year. They work very aggressively to make sure with sprinkler systems, etc. And yeah, I know, sprinkler systems in commercial areas can be a pain in the fanny. But in the long run, it works out. Police department, take-home vehicles, those kinds of things. Our crime statistics are low. We're happy with that. That's it for me. Went through it quickly. Let me just ask a question. Anybody has any questions for me? If you don't, let me put it this way. If we can't answer them all now, I'll be here afterwards. Yes?
What are your plans?
With the Tinley Park Mental Health on it? You got any ideas? The reason why I say that, quite frankly, is this. Is that the mental health grounds sounds like a nice piece of property. 280 acres of land. Great. Here's the problem. It's in Cook County. 150 feet south is Will County. If you put a commercial building in Cook County, you're going to pay $100,000 a year on a building, arbitrary number. You move it 150 feet south, you're going to pay $48,000. That's going to be a detriment to commercial. Number 2, you only can put in so much commercial. Otherwise, you begin to get incestuous, which are other areas. Number 3, environmental issues. The thing is wrapped in asbestos, lead paint. There's areas out there the state can't find the records of what they buried. There's at least 2 dumps out there. There's at least 2 lime pits out there. There's a power plant out there. So there's some issues from that standpoint. Long way to get to your answer. We're working with a consulting group now that are showing us what we could put on there. It's not even set in wet sand, so let's understand it. So we're open to different ideas. Maybe a senior citizen building, those kinds of things. Some parks, fine. But, you know, eventually, quite frankly, we want to recoup our $4.1 million, okay? Because we took it from our reserves. You had a question?
I was going to ask the same question.
Tom?
Any potential for residential growth?
Potential growth. I'll be honest with you, Tom. That's probably going to be the majority of it, is residential.
Yeah,
We've already contacted all of the taxing bodies, and they understand that we'll be going with a TIF on that area. Okay? Yes?
I just had a question about the water lines with the...
Yeah.
Are any other communities able to get involved in?
There's 5. We invited several other ones, and they chose not to.
Was Midlothian one of them?
No. Midlothian buys their water from Harvey.
Well, I thought they were from Oklahoma.
No, I'm almost positive. They weren't part of the group. They're in with Midlothian, Alsip, I thought Harvey and someplace else. But I'm not totally sure, but they're not in with our group. They weren't one of the ones on our line. There's a total of about 20 that are on this line. And some didn't have to do it because the line goes the other way. We're going southwest.
Midlothian needs help with the water.
Yeah, they've got some challenges
Yeah.
there. Lincoln Way School. I'll be here afterwards to answer questions. Here you go. Let me get my stuff on here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brown. My name is Mark Cohen, I'm principal at Lincoln North High School. This is going to take a couple minutes to go over some of the highlights about our school district for those of you that may not be as familiar with it. Lincoln North was not here the last time there was one of these because we did not exist. The building is now just in its 7th year, opened in 2008. What you need to know is that we serve the Will County portion of Tinley Park. Anybody in Will County would attend Lincoln North High School when those students are in high school. Out of our 1,800 students, about 1/3 of them are Tinley Park residents. So about 600 or so, just under 600, reside in the village of Tinley Park. If you have not been out to our facility, I would gladly invite any of you, if you would like, to come for a tour. We give those all the time, especially folks that are considering moving into the area. Sometimes they would like to come out and take a look at the schools. We are more than welcome to do that. I'm more than happy to do that. We have a great facility. I consider our facility second to none. Our auditorium is professional grade. Our field house indoor is an absolutely wonderful place that's open to the community, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But our kids are very fortunate, as am I, to have that facility to work in every day. The PSAE is the state exam that had been administered up until this spring to all juniors in the state of Illinois for accountability purposes. It consisted of the ACT on day 1, and day 2 was a series of state-generated tests. And then students were categorized into 4 different areas. Either they met state standards, they exceeded state standards, which are those are the 2 good ones. They did not meet state standards, they were found academic warning. In our first year as a district, and the reason why I put these district stats up is, again, in 2001, we did not exist when this test started. In 2001, as a district, 64% of our students met or exceeded state standards. But over time, there was this gradual increase. In 2014, 74% of our students met state standards. In that time period, the state of Illinois dropped slightly. So at the time where the state slid back just a little bit, we were able to grow. That's a very positive thing. It says it speaks well to our instructional program. Lincoln Way North, we grew about 8 to 9 points in each area that was tested as well. From the time we opened our doors, we were a little bit behind the district average, and as of 2013, which was a year ago, we've grown quite a bit. 2014's numbers will come out in November. Here's an important statistic. 74% of our kids across the Lincoln Way High School district met or exceeded state standards. There are 8 other high school districts in the state of Illinois, large high school districts, where that was true besides ours. And these are the 8. Lake Forest, Northfield, which is Glenbrook North, Glenbrook South, Deerfield Highland Park, all the way down to Hinsdale Lions. Over here is the per pupil expenditure for each of those school districts. And as realtors, I want you to appreciate this. We spend $11,231 per student to get the same test score results or basically right in the same range as Stevenson, Hinsdale, Lyons, New Trier. We're up in that category. That's a tremendous bang for the buck, and the folks that live in our community should be very, very proud of that. Very proud of that value. Some other academic highlights, and this is all available for our school report card. We do have Chinese is actually a new language for us this year, actually last year that we're offering. So we have 5 different language programs. Our ACT composite is nearly 2 points higher than the Illinois state average. Newsweek magazine ranked us one of America's best high schools just last year. And we're fortunate that we have in our 6 years, we already have a Golden Apple Award winner, Linda Agnex. She was named actually the National Language Teacher of the Year. She's a Spanish teacher for us. So number 1 is academics, and we just talked about that. But the number 2 thing, I think, when it comes to schools is getting kids involved. Because getting kids involved can make a tremendous difference in GPA. Our students that are involved have a grade point average 3/4 of a point higher than those students that are not. So students that are involved in activities have about a 2.5, so a BC average. But our students that are involved in student activities, at least 1, have a grade point average better than 3 1/4. So that's important. We actually have a person, her name is Mrs. Jamie Pearson. She's our coordinator of student activities, and on top of some other character education pieces that she does, she is responsible for getting kids involved in student activities. And 75% of our kids are. We have very good quality athletic programs. We also have fantastic fine arts programs. Our marching band, our choral programs, madrigal programs are top-notch. Our madrigal dinner sold out last year, for the 3rd time in a row, and this year we actually had to add another dinner just because we ran out of space. When we talk about the high school, it's hard to kind of understand what high school is like, and certainly you think back to your high school days, and I'm sure they're very, very different as I look around the room, but when we when you talk about high school, we want to talk about culture and climate. And this is something I'm very, very proud of. How do you, I describe the culture and climate of a high school, what it's like to be in high school without actually going there and visiting. So I just decided to drop these statistics in there. The first is that our students behave. We have great kids. We're very fortunate. They won the Sportsmanship Award in their Southwest Suburban Conference and their 16-school conference twice in the last 4 years. And then the bottom 3 points are from a survey that the state of Illinois is administered, or is now required to administer at least once every 2 years, called the 5 Essentials. And it's a survey of parents, of students, and of staff. And these 3 bullet points at the bottom are from our staff. 97% of surveyed faculty wouldn't want to work at any other school. 100% would recommend Lincoln Way North to parents seeking a place for their child. 100% look forward to working there each day. That speaks volumes when the adults in the building all feel that way feel that positively about the kids that they teach and their own careers. And then finally, community partnerships. This is something I want to share with you as well. We have a community lap, swim, and walker program, which is a value-added piece. Doesn't cost residents anything. Our pools and our track are open 13 hours a day to any resident in the community. So that means that if somebody wants to come in and swim in the pools, we save 2 lanes throughout the day. Unless for some reason we're closed for maintenance or have a big swim meet, we have 2 lanes dedicated just for our community members to come in. They can swim and use the pool. We have separate community locker rooms so they can change there. All you have to do is show your ID, sign in, prove that you're a resident, and at the first time then you get a lap card, and you can come and use it at any time. We also, again, the track, the outer lanes of the track are always open, so you can come in the mornings, stay in the evenings, and use those facilities. The FAN program is a partnership with the Frankfurt Square Park District, which serves, again, Will County. The FAN program is a program that does charge a nominal fee, but that allows access to our fitness centers, to our basketball courts. Again, when we're done with the building at 3 o'clock, whatever areas we're not using are open to the community. Our athletic areas go to about 6 o'clock with practices. Whenever we're done, it goes to the community. So our gyms and our field houses get used quite extensively. Our senior and children's series and the Illinois Philharmonic Orchestra are pieces, they're all housed out of the Lincoln Way North Auditorium. The Lincoln Way North Auditorium, the senior series, we have the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra in there this year. A little later on, we have a tribute to Frankie Valli. They sell out. We have all of our shows during the school day sold out. Now we are offering additional shows at night. The IPO calls our auditorium home, so they're there. We're very glad to be able to bring those groups into our community and have them housed at our school, because we do feel like it's a community center. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask now, or you can stop me afterwards. Yes, sir.
What's your national ranking?
National ranking? According to Newsweek? Or?
I'm talking about the number, that people look at.
Sure. Newsweek selected roughly 2,000 schools to call their best high schools in the United States, and it was based on AP scores, and we were at about 1,700. I do not recall the exact number.
You mentioned about the use of the facilities and that.
Yes.
Are you talking about they need to be from that school district in Frankfurt Township?
Correct. Correct. So they would need to live within our boundaries. And actually, because we have 4 facilities, they can be anywhere inside the Lincoln Way boundaries. So if they did live outside of our, so we could have some folks in East Pools down for maintenance, folks in Frankfurt, Mokina from the Lincoln Way North if they chose. Yes, sir.
The discrepancy in the expenditures of Lake Forest 21,000 and your 11,000, is that based on the difference in teacher salaries? Is that weighted in there?
Salaries comprise the great majority of any school's expenditures. So 70 to 80% of any school's expenditures are going to be salaries. It's a function of keeping support staff costs low, of keeping maintenance costs low, we're fortunate that we have a newer building that, it's a little bit more efficient to operate. And whenever we see cost savings to upgrade lighting or upgrade a heating system, we try and take advantage of those opportunities for those long run costs. Anything else? Thank you very much.
The mayor alluded to the fact that we are in a million different government agencies as far as schools go. We've worked from Lincoln Way. I'm not going to embarrass Teresa, but Dr. Teresa Nolan, Principal, Tinley Park High School.
Well, thank you, Roger. And I think when he says that, it's more about, I'm putting myself on a timer, just so you guys know here. Because I know many of you guys in the room, and those of you that do know me, yes, I'm Teresa Nolan. I grew up in Tinley Park, went to Tinley Park High School. I was a teacher at Tinley Park High School, the assistant principal, and now the principal. I'm very involved in our community and things of that nature, so therefore, many of these faces are familiar to me. And so, what I think you do know about my familiar faces, people I think would categorize me as being rather bold at times. And the mayor's laughing. And the reason why I want to preface it with that is I feel like this is an opportunity that I've waited for a long time. And I'm going to keep it short and brief. But I definitely invite you to have this conversation with me a little bit further after this 10 minutes is over. Growing up in Tinley Park, my brothers and my sister and I all went to Tinley Park High School. My family, before my brother entered Tinley Park High School as a freshman, had a little bit of folklore that they had to deal with. And those of you that sell real estate in Tinley Park and you talk about purchasing homes in the east side of Tinley Park are very well aware of what that folklore is that I'm talking about or I'm alluding to. And my parents made the decision for me to go to Tinley Park High School along with my brothers and sisters. And it was the best decision they could have made. As time went on, and I came back to Tinley Park High School as a teacher and eventually an administrator, and it's been a number of years. Unfortunately, that folklore still continues. And people that go to Tinley Park High School, people that are associated with Tinley Park High School, people that graduate from Tinley Park High School will tell you, I don't know why that's out there. I don't know where that came from. Because it's generally spirited, and it keeps cycling, from people who I've never met or have never come to our building, have never walked our halls. So I'm taking this moment, this very bold opportunity to say, meet me today, introduce yourself to me, come to Tinley Park High School, walk our halls, meet our kids, talk to our teachers, and hopefully you will be able to make a great decision for that family that falls in love with that house on the east side of Tinley Park. And you can look at them and tell them that not only do you love this house, you will love the educational opportunities that Tinley Park High School will offer to your sons and daughters. So again, I'm taking this moment to extend myself to you to say I don't bite. I want you to come to Tinley. I want you to come and see what we're about so that hopefully 30 years from now, which I certainly won't be the principal at that point in time, hopefully this folklore is something that we talk about as a thing of the past. So with that being said, Tinley Park High School, we're about 1,256 students this year. We feed from 9 different feeder schools, which is a significant challenge for us when we take students in from 9 different feeder schools and try to start everybody off at the level playing field. We serve 4 different communities, Tinley Park, Oak Forest, Country Club Hills, and Markham. We have 19 different advanced placement offerings. We offer 14 dual credit courses through South Suburban College. Those two paired together, we actually had a student last year that started college with 24 college credits as they went off to their freshman year. They had earned both AP credits and dual credits through South Suburban College. And a program that we're definitely beefing up over time and due to the society that we live in today, we're increasing our number of licensing and certification programs. Right now we offer CNA programs, EMT programs, A++ certifications, Microsoft Office specialists, ServSafe sanitation certificates. All of those certificates offer students an opportunity to graduate and go right into the world of work. Unfortunately, with the cost of college these days, we're having graduates come back and tell us they're greatly in debt and that they're not employed to pay those student loans off yet. So we're finding it a need to really look at how do we offer our students licenses or certifications that will allow them to get right into the world of work. New ones that are coming are dental hygienist programs, vet tech, pharmacy tech, and other certifications in the healthcare field. Come on, there we go. So who are we? Our general demographics, we're 55% white, 25% black, 14% Hispanic, and 4% Asian. You can see the geographical breakdown of where our students come from, with largely being populated by Tinley Park residents. You know, Mark presented PSAE scores, and you know, as educators, we can get up here and talk to you guys all about data and scores and things of that nature. So I decided to keep it just ACT, because typically I believe that your home buyers are coming and asking what the average ACT score is, without really understanding all of the intricacies of EPAS and PSAE and things of that nature, park assessments, map assessments, things like that. I also, the data that's represented up here shows our Tinley Park students. The purpose of today's presentation was to talk about real estate in Tinley Park. My school serves 4 different communities, as you saw, and they're 4 different, very diverse communities. So when that family comes in and they go over by the Bulldog Field on 171st Street and they see this house that they just love, they want to know what kind of opportunities will my son or daughter have at Tinley Park High School. Here's a 5-year trend for ACT scores for Tinley Park residents. Regular education students and special education students are listed, and overall, our 5-year average is 21.7, which is just above the state average. I put this on here, and I don't mean to confuse you. This is our EPAS achievement, the Educational Planning and Assessment System. Basically indicates college readiness for students. And what they do is they look at how are you growing your students? How are they learning when they come into your building? So you take them in at a certain level, how much are they growing once you have them? Basically, this chart shows that in their first year, from their Explore test to their Plan test, you want them to grow 1 to 2 points. That would be indicated by the red bar on the bottom. Between their Plan and their ACT test, they should grow another 2 to 4 points. So as you can see, the benchmark for ACT college readiness is between 3 and 6 points, which all of our students at Tinley Park High School fall into those appropriate benchmarks for ACT college readiness. Mark talked about the Illinois 5 Essentials Survey, which is all parent, teacher, and student driven. This was our graphic that shows on our Illinois State Report Card. Mark actually pulled out some specific indicators that led to this graphic, but basically in the eyes of the University of Chicago with the Illinois 5 Essentials Survey, it dictated that Tinley Park High School is considered a well-organized school. You know, as much as I stand up here and I toot the horn of our students within our building, I definitely try to get our kids out of the building to meet and mingle with as many people as they can, to also let our community get a feel for who we are. You probably saw some of these pictures along the way. Our student actually designed for the $1 million fire truck, the logo. Thank you, Mayor Spracky. The $1 million fire truck has our Titan emblazoned on the sign that one of our art students drew. Our students took place in, it was sponsored by the Village of Tinley Park. It was called the Bio Blitz, just a few Saturdays ago, up in the corner there where they did different experiments out in the environment. Our AP art students painted a mural on a business, Tinley Towing and Auto Repair back on Duvon Drive. And we partnered with Bettenhausen Fiat, and all 4 schools in our district got a customized Fiat in our school colors and logos and such. And it just, again, shows you that we're trying to reach out and get our students out there, get our name out there, and trying to let you guys know that we're trying to welcome ourselves into the Tinley Park community. You are welcomed into our Tinley Park High School community. Our library, something happened with that picture. Our library, that's terrible because that would show the fireplace. Went under extensive renovations this year. I know there's some Tinley graduates that are out here. which is inclusive. You see up in the corner there a beautiful fireplace in our library. It was a class gift from 3 of our senior classes, and just to make kind of a nice, homey atmosphere for our students to be proud of. And here's my contact information. And here are some of the friendly faces at Tinley Park High School that want you to get to know who they are and what we offer. There's some water bottles in the back with my business card attached to it. Please take that, each and every one of you, as a personal invitation to call me. Let's sit down and talk. Let me answer any questions you have, and let me introduce you to some great young people who are going to make a difference. Thank you. What kind of questions can I answer here? Yes?
As realtors, and this is the only thing that I can come through to, is when we have a buyer and they come into a community and they ask about the schools, it's very helpful to us to have a little brochure that would give something like a presentation to them so that they could, we're not going to remember all this stuff that you gave us. But, and on that, it should have the name of the person on who they could contact to have a tour of the school and, you know, get to know it a little bit better. So my recommendation would be for the school, I know it's expensive, but you know, you don't have to put out 5 million of them. Just have them available to the realtors that sell in your area that they can come and pick them up.
Be happy to do that. And in the meantime, until that is created, please give them my business card, give them my contact information. Until that's created, because I hope you guys go out and sell a whole bunch of houses in between that time period, please use my personal contact information, and I will be happy to talk with them and answer any questions for them, give them a tour, and give them this information.
Even if you can at least direct them to the website, you know, with some facts about the school.
Yeah, we can even print them out, you know, as long as.
Just some general information.
And understand too, there's a little bit of a difference from the school that I teach at. I very much, like Mayor Zabrocki got up and talked about the fact that Tinley Park is kind of splintered, you know, into different, you know, townships, into different park districts, into different counties. You know, Tinley Park High School serves 4 very different communities. And so the thing is, you have to look at where they're coming in, where they want to make their investment, and what they're going to get from that. So the thing is, we have that information disaggregated that I'd be happy to share with you. But the thing is, sometimes when you direct somebody to a school report card, and you're looking at numbers, numbers can't talk to you. Numbers don't give you a feel for what that culture and what that community and what that environment is. And if I could tell you, and I wish I had all those people lined up here for you today, when people leave Tinley Park High School, they leave happy. They leave fulfilled, they leave proud. That doesn't mean that we're in competition with Andrew or Lincoln Way. It just means that you can feel confident talking to a buyer in a home on the east side of Tinley and know that there are great educational opportunities at Tinley Park High School. So that's not, again, saying they have to buy here versus there. Just feel confident knowing that we are providing those services. As an alumni of the school, I will personally make sure that we stay where we need to be. You all think about your high schools, and you always want them to rise up. You always want good things for them. How many of you drive past a house that you used to own in the past? And you drive back because you just want to see what it looks like. Well, now think about that where you spent 4 years of probably some of your most formative years. So the fact of the matter is, I promise you, being the principal and being an alumni of that school, I will do everything in my power to make sure it stays where it needs to be. Any other questions? Yes?
Can I tell you something?
Absolutely.
I've been a realtor for 46 years, and my wife part has been in this town. I remember about Main Street, I worked with Tinley, I worked with some of the bigger buildings that came in this town. I've never had anybody that took Tinley Park High School. So, you know, you throw on
Thank
all
you.
of me that I don't even know how to throw back.
Well, I did play sports too, so. Yes?
And I just wanted to say that we have 3 nieces that went to Tinley Park High School, and they both graduated high honors, went on to college, did very well, and they were very happy here.
And I just want to personally let you know that one of my former students is actually in the back by the camp. Yes?
I just sold a house on the east side 3 weeks ago to my
Thank you so
He's
much.
over in junior high right now.
Awesome. Bring him up to meet me, because I'd love to meet him, and whether it's a couple years out, maybe that just sends a little sense of excitement, you know, when he comes through the ranks and I finally get to work with him.
Yeah.
I brought some water bottles in the back, and my card is attached, so make sure you take one of those with you. And like I said, any question, any dialogue is absolutely welcomed. Thank you.
Again, we have 3 high schools that are serving the residents of Tinley Park, as the realtors know. Andrew High School is on the west end. We used to talk about the east part of Tinley Park, Tinley Park High School, and the principal of Andrew High School, Bob Logan.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for being here. Mr. Mayor, thank you for inviting me. Again, my name is Bob Holting. I am in my 6th year at Andrew High School, and I will tell you that every day of the week that I get to go to Andrew High School is an exciting opportunity to see see 2,000 students walk through the halls each and every day. Really is just an impressive thing. And I'm going to talk a little bit about their accomplishments, but you give me 5 minutes to talk about Andrew High School, I'm not going to scratch the surface. So I'm going to try to give it as best as I can in the short amount of time that I can, because usually I could waste a good hour of your time talking about my school. So, but I do have a little bit of a brochure that I'm going to that highlights some of the things that I've given to you. Feel free to take that and try to recreate that or put some more information out. Andrew High School, and I apologize, the first bullet is on my sheet, but must have deleted it from this. We have 2,000 kids, just slightly over that this year. And you can see where we draw our students, primarily Kirby School District 140. We get 100% of those kids. We share kids with with Tinley Park High School in Oak Forest that go to Central Middle School. That is a shift. You may be getting some questions with the people in your community about that. They've transitioned from Sandburg to Andrew, and I'll wait for specific questions if you have them on that. And we do draw quite a few students from our private school. We've always questioned whether people really think we're a private school or a public school. I've actually had some parents that wonder where the pictures of the bishops and the saints are in our school, and I tell them it's against the law to put them up, and then they look at me funny and just walk away. So, but we are a public high school in Tinley Park. A couple of honors, I won't go through all of these, but we're very proud of some of the accomplishments. Washington Post last year recognized this as one of the most challenging high schools in America. And as Mark mentioned before, Newsweek magazine, for the first time in Andrew's history, was recognized by Newsweek magazine as the top high school in the country. I'll get to a little bit later as to why we've made that possible. But we've reached some really interesting pinnacles, particularly in the last 2 to 3 years, with academic success, but also getting our kids out, as Teresa highlighted, getting our kids out in the community and throughout the state, and in some regards throughout the nation, and showcasing what they can do within the context of what we teach them in high school, but also representing their communities, which we're very proud of. A few highlights of what we're all about. We have 94% of our graduates attend some level of post-secondary school. As you'll see on the brochure, and I'll highlight later as well, about 56% on average, 56% go on to a 4-year university, about 35 to 38% go on to a 2-year university. Primarily that's Spring Valley for our students. I will tell you that we're estimating half of those schools that go to half of those students, excuse me, that go to a 2-year program tend to move on to a 4-year program after that. But as you know, Tinley Park residents are very frugal. They understand the value of a dollar, and they understand that they can get a very good education in Rain Valley, get those gen eds out of the way, and then move on to a U of I ISU from there, and everything's just fine. Costs about a tenth of the price, so that's reasonable. We fall based on our state scores in the top 8% in the state of Illinois, something we maintained for my 6 years and beyond that. We challenge our students, and that's something that I'll highlight again in a little bit, but 56% of our kids take an honors or AP course, and that's intentional. We tell them that if they're going to go on to a 4-year college, they should try it at least once, whether it's in an area that they like English or social studies, whether it's an area that they're good at, because we believe it's a safer environment to try something challenging before you get onto a school that you're going to be taking that anyway, and you don't have some of the supports that we have. Discipline, as Mark highlighted in his school, we don't see a lot of kids in our dean's office, and hopefully We're going to keep that trend going. 73% of our students never receive one referral. Those that do tend to have trouble getting to class on time. And I talk to a lot of principals in the south suburbs, and they ask, you know, what's your two biggest problems discipline-wise? I say, targets and cell phones. And they look at me like, that's your worst problem? I say, well, yeah, they're a little jealous. I'm okay with that. So if we get rid of cell phones and if we get kids in class on time, we'd have no discipline issues. So we're proud about that. Satisfaction, we survey our kids, our parents, our staff every year. 94% of our students last year felt that they got an outstanding or better experience. 96% of our parents said the same. 99% of our staff said yes, so hopefully that 1% found a way to link away north this year, because you make them happy for, because you got 100%, I'll figure out how to get there next time. And we're very proud last year, we were able to help our students attain over $5 million of scholarships. And that's vitally important, as you know, with our students that need to go on to a secondary education. Sometimes financial resources are a limiting factor. We're very proud of that. Again, I'm going to talk about ACT scores with all due respect to PSAE. They're a little bit more challenging to explain, and they're no longer really pertinent to our world. We have a composite average, but as many of you know, hopefully you know, that in the state of Illinois, we test 100% of our kids. You know, we're not in the same situation that most other states are in, where it's just your college-bound kids. We're not in the same situation as our private school competitors in the suburban area. So what I'd like to do too is break it down to how do some of our group categories of kids. If you're a student that falls in the top 20th percentile of your class, your average ACT is about a 27. That's very, very competitive. If you look at the top half of our class that graduated last year, that's about 24 and a half. Again, very, very competitive. Those that are going to a four-year college last year had a little over a 24 and a half. Those that went to a two-year college were about 19. So again, with parents who are looking at Andrew High School who feel like they have kids that are college-bound kids, it's very important for us to break down that ACT and show them that, you know what, our kids that are going to colleges are very, very competitive, especially at the state school level. One of the things that we spent a lot of time talking about when I started at Andrew 6 years ago, we were a little bit averse at Andrew to challenging our students' population academically. We kind of believe that, well, we don't want to push them, because push is kind of a bad word. You don't want to push anybody, right? That's in schools we say don't push. I said, well, okay, let's quit talking about pushing. Let's talk about pulling. Let's talk about taking a kid and saying, I'm going to take you by the hand, I'm going to walk you through a challenging experience, and we're going to help you get through it and be successful. In the last 4 years, we've seen that pay off in droves. One of the reasons we were able to get on that Newsweek magazine publication is because we've almost doubled our enrollment in these challenging courses. Not because we were chasing awards, but because we were telling kids, you know what, challenge yourself. If you're not willing to take on a challenge now, it's going to get harder as you get older to take on challenges, because we're going to teach you how to be successful, and if you do fail, we're going to help you get back on track. So you'll see that we've really increased our level of rigor. We have, in terms of program offerings, we have almost every AP class with the exception of a few languages that there is to offer. So kids have a variety of options in terms of the academics. We do have a variety of academic programming, elective programming. That's a thing that's dying in a lot of public schools, and I think all 3 of our schools that you have are preserving that to the best of our ability. The fine arts, the applied technologies. Those are coursework that we value as a comprehensive high school. Andrew, like our counterparts, are in no different position. We offer those for our kids. We're going to maintain them. Athletics, again, Mark said it very well. You know, we believe in athletics not because we want to win state championships, which are nice. We want to do that too. But we want our kids to participate in those. We are very competitive in the South Suburban and Southwest Suburban. We are in the same conference with Mr. Cohen, with his school, not him. He would do fine on his own, as you can clearly see. But we're very competitive in that. We kind of joke around at Andrew High School. Any sport or activity that starts with a B, we pretty much got it knocked out. Bowling, badminton, baseball, and band. Those are the top 4. They're all starting with the letter B. But we're very competitive in athletics. We also take a lot of pride in our activities programs. One thing I want to point out here, and I will challenge most schools in this number, I feel like we pretty much knocked it out of the park. 81% of our kids are involved in this one activity. That's remarkable. The national average is somewhere around half. The state average is somewhere around a little under 2/3. Having 80% of our kids stick around after school and take part in one of these activities is something I'm almost more proud of than our ACT scores, because kids are connected to school, they're connected to their communities, they're connected to their families if they're involved. And this is just a sign of that involvement. We're very proud of it. We have 48 after-school activities. They're competitive programs, fine arts programs, service-based programs. One of the other things that I took off, because again, I don't want to talk too much, but we have a service learning requirement that many people think, well, 24 hours, that's a lot. Well, I'll tell you, 66 is the average that kids walk out at graduation. Last year, the senior class alone had almost 40,000 hours of service to the community. And then again, that's reciprocal. That's us getting our kids out in the community and our community connecting with us. I believe that takes me to my last slide. So again, I could talk for hours if you gave me the opportunity, but you're all busy folks, so I don't want to take up hours. But I'd be willing to certainly answer or entertain any questions or thoughts that you